It's Tuesday, May 26th, 2015. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Heroes of the Storm.
Storm. Let's do this.
It was a holiday weekend. It's finally basically summer. And I went for a run a couple days ago. Well, basically over the weekend, I ran a split marathon. I've never done that before. So I ran two 15-mile runs, basically.
So marathon is 30 miles?
Marathon is like 26 miles. So I ran about a half a marathon, a little more. And then I ran about a half marathon again, a little more.
Okay.
So averaged out, it's a marathon, but over a couple days. And
pretty sure that's a bad time, a couple days for a marathon. I mean, even the old people who run in the marathon don't take a couple days. They finish it on the one day, usually.
I've always said for years that, I run a lot. That's just one of the sports I do. And I run in races and everything. But I always said I'd never run a marathon because they're fucking horrible for your body.
Okay.
So I run half marathons. But when I started my second half marathon in a couple days, I started running. I hit the 13-mile mark, which is the half marathon, and my body said I could just keep doing this. And I started to think maybe I should just do a marathon just to say I did it. And I feel like I'm not going to actually do that because I still think they're horrible for your body.
Why don't you just enter the New York City Marathon, and then as soon as you feel shitty, just stop and walk off.
Yeah, not like some of the
Get on
people
the
who try to
subway,
win it. Not
get
the
on the
people
subway
who
and go home.
Not the people I've seen who literally poop themselves while
You
they're
have no
running.
chance of winning. So as soon as it's uncomfortable, just stop.
No chance of winning. I have no chance of winning a 5K race. When I enter a 5K race, I'll get a time of 19, 20 minutes, which is really good. But then some asshole gets 13 minutes.
Yeah, that's a professional person.
Yeah, my best time on a 10K ever is 52 minutes.
Okay. So I made the wise decision of not going to work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, because I saw you tweeted a picture of you today while I was sitting in my office eating a sandwich. And I see you're out in Flushing at Corona Park.
That's right. Everyone else, I have an idea.
Quit your job and bike around.
Everybody gonna have to, everyone's life. You think about your life, right? You don't like going to work. Going to work sucks.
There's a few people who like going to work, but not many.
Fuck them. No one here wants to go to work, right?
Scott, what if your life...
Wouldn't you much rather just go to the park and bike around every day, eat ice cream, have a good time?
Well, you guys all forget. You remember...
Play some video games.
That one day...
Do your laundry.
When I quit my job at DeBella's, I was working at RIT. One morning, I remember my alarm went off, and I laid there in bed, and it was super nice outside, and the sun is coming in through the window on my body. And I heard my alarm, and I turned it off, and I consciously decided to fall back asleep in that sunbeam. Mm. And then, an hour later, the phone rings. I reach over and I pick it up, and it's my boss from DeBella saying, "Hey, where are you?" I'm like, "I didn't come in today." And there's a long pause, and then he just says, "Are you ever going to come in again?" And I was like, long pause? Nah. And I hung up, and that was one of the best days of my life.
So why don't we just all do that all together at the same time? I think it's called a general strike, but it's we don't have to be protesting anything. Let's just no one go to work anymore. And we'll all have a good time.
If all the nerds and geeks just stopped going to work at the same time, parts of society would keep functioning, but the parts that matter would slowly stop to function, and they'd need us back, and maybe we'd get some concessions.
The concession I'll work 1 hour a week?
You
pay for my apartment, I'll work 1 hour a week?
You feed
me, I'll work 1 hour a week?
If someone agreed that I had to give them 10 hours of work a week, but they were a fully 100% dedicated 10 hours, I would do that for my current salary.
Yeah,
I wouldn't feel that bad about it.
I don't know.
But then I'd be pushing for 8.
But it's I'm not working the rest of this week because I had to use my vacation days before they reset July 1st. So, of course, I used them on the 4-day week to just get maximum power leverage.
Yep.
I really don't. I'm seriously, I really do not want to work. I got to do something.
I guess if any of you listeners out there, because we're looking at doing some things like a Patreon to go to Australia.
I might just take all my money, even my 401k money, and pay the taxes, whatever. The taxes can't be that much. What is it, half? How much
I
is
don't know. I looked into it once to borrow against it to buy that house.
No, I don't want to borrow against it. I just want to take it, pay the taxes on it, and then go somewhere where it doesn't cost anything to live and just not have to work for like years.
Why don't you go one step further and max out all your credit cards for cash and get the biggest personal loan you can?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, that's a problem because then people would come after me, right?
I thought you were going to go somewhere it's cheap to live. That means not in the U.S.
But I still have to pay back the loan somehow.
No, just leave. That's the whole plan.
That doesn't work.
If you're gonna just say fuck it and empty all your accounts, you might as well empty the account that every American above a certain income level has, which is called fairly unlimited credit with little oversight.
But if I go to another country, won't they still come after me?
Depends on what country. If you're in like Bolivia or Venezuela, no one's gonna come after you.
But why? I don't want to go there.
Where do you want to go?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I want to go to New York City. That's a good place.
Yeah,
but I mean,
well, that's the problem. To live in New York, you gotta work in New York.
But I mean, I could live in just the sticks in the United States, in like a trailer with internet.
You know, you say that, and it may be true. I don't know, but Beacon felt like the sticks. And Beacon is so far from the sticks.
It just needs to be a place that has a grocery store.
Have you ever lived in the sticks?
I went to summer camp, which is even more stick because you don't even go into the society.
But you're at a camp.
You just stay in the camp the whole time.
Yeah.
Why don't I just go to a camp?
Just be that creepy hobo who lives at the camp?
No, I'd like own a camp or something. I don't know.
Huh? Well, yeah,
camp
like
directors don't have to do anything. They just get to enjoy summer camp, and then, in the not summer, they just don't do anything.
We like making content. It's kind of a hobby. So if any venture capitalists out there want to give us a pile of money to make a lot more content,
I will take your pile of money and go to the beach, and you won't see me again.
We'll make a lot of content, but it'll be a lot of like, here's a time lapse of us at the beach this week.
Here is me swimming.
You know what we'll give you? We'll record all of our conversations.
I have so much free time now. I tried fishing. Here's a fishy fish.
Yeah.
I toss him back because he's a fishy fish.
I'll tell you what. You know what else we'll do? We'll even finish Radio Free Equestria and Utena. Sure.
Yeah, whatever.
I could do that. That would only take like a month if we were working on it full time. Tops.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
I'm seriously though. I gotta not work. This is
believe me. Because I'm pitching some stuff internally, and
if I don't show up, how long do you think until they stop paying me?
My company finance a lot quicker, probably. I mean, my old company.
Like if I just didn't show up next Monday when I'm supposed to go back, and they call me like, "Where are you?" I'd be like, "I got used to not working. I don't know if I can come back."
Well, when I was working at that hospital, I'm pretty sure if I just stopped showing up, it would have been at least 6 months before anyone caught on and stopped paying me.
Why did you not do that?
What I did is I went into work, and I actually did go around and be like, yo, do you have any work for me? Do you have any projects? Anything? To everyone who I reported to.
I have some work to do, but it's like and it's like I don't work on it as intensely as I could. Like I could probably just get everything done if I actually worked.
Yep.
But it's like I basically, work slowly or intermittently, and I get everything done that they need done on time.
See, I ran into the
other
opposite
things I just
of,
let sit. Like I don't care.
At my current job, anything I want to do is just crippled by momentum, bureaucracy, and just like what resources
there's plenty
available.
Of that too.
Yeah. So the
like I just
is,
don't want to sit in an office while the sun is out. Pretty much, I don't care what I'm doing. Even if I was working and being productive the whole time, it's like I don't want to do that.
So we could turtle for a year and try to make one of those things we've been talking about.
All right, sure. How are we gonna eat? Turtles need food.
We both empty our accounts, and then we've got it most a year living in New York.
I don't have a year.
I have a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a year. I have a year easily.
The problem is if I empty those accounts, I gotta pay taxes on it.
Wait, no, a year is $45,000 in rent. Jesus.
Yeah.
I almost have. Yeah, I almost have a year.
I do not.
I could do a year. The problem is, at the end of that year,
I mean, you got to remember, you got to pay to go to PAX and all this other stuff too. Those are rents. Like every time you go to PAX, you're basically paying another month of rent.
Yeah.
So that's 4 months a year where your rent is double. If you go to Australia, that month is triple rent. Because you got to pay rent in your apartment while you're in Australia.
Well, I did calculate once that
the plane ticket is equal to the rent cost.
If you, me, and Emily move back to Beacon and quit our jobs and just put our money into a big account to pay for it and lived our current lifestyle but in Beacon, we have at least 3 years.
It's not good.
Of course, actually now Beacon's getting kind of expensive. We might have to go further up.
Whatever.
Anyway, so in the news bits, I played a game, and I want to give a review of it because some people might get dragged into one of these things. You know, that kind of thing happens. I got dragged into it. Emily's company was like a thing they were doing as a party, and she was like, oh, you want to come? So I came. And what I want to say, and I don't want to like spoil it because talking too much about this game is like talking too much about Layton. Like, if I just tell you the answers to 10 of the puzzles, like that kind of just ruins parts of Layton. Puzzle games are one of the kinds of games that can be straight up spoiled because telling someone the answer literally removes the reason to play that part of the game.
I don't know. People like to buy a crossword puzzle book and look in the back.
Oh, yeah, because those people are stupid. Like, there are people, I'm sure, who play Layton games by reading a fact. I'm sure that happens.
I bet there's a Layton fact on Game Pass.
Oh, my God.
Sometimes you need one because the puzzles are worded so poorly in the translation.
Yeah, but there's a difference between, like, the thing we did that one time that we swore we'd never reveal ever to anyone who wasn't in the room.
I don't remember what that was.
You remember what that was? And we looked up a thing through a system to see if something was on the right track or not because we didn't trust the game designer during a marathon run of something.
I barely remember.
Wow, okay. I guess it's good. I guess we can trust you to keep secrets. So
my memory
only two other people know about this, Scott, in the whole world.
I use computers. I don't use my brains.
I've maintained my internal memory to a higher degree, I think. Okay, after the show, I'll tell you. I can't tell you on the show. But anyway, so I did one of those escape the room games with Emily and a bunch of her coworkers at What Pumpkin. And it was like literally...
I mean, there's been video game versions of this for a long time, and I knew that in the city there were a couple of physical versions.
Yep, and there's a bunch of different ones.
They put you in a room, and you have to escape. And
yes.
It's basically you play Myst, but it's actually physical. It's like,
so the deal is, you go in, you have like 10 people or whatever.
Is there like a desk with junk in it and writing on the wall?
Yeah, but...
Is there like UV light reveal text that's hidden in places and keys that open shit?
You will come up with
combination locks.
You'll come up with every kind of thing they would do. But what surprised me was the sheer high production values.
Really? The production value was actually high.
Here's an example of a puzzle, and I'm not going to give a lot of examples because I don't want to spoil stuff because it was actually super fun. Mm-hmm. So at one point, we bust open this desk and we find a bunch of photos, like old black and white, old timey photos of the rooms we're in, just like a bunch of photos of it. So we figured out, we look at the photo and we see, like we're looking at the photos.
The photo is different from the room you're in.
Yeah, so there's an object that's in a different spot. So we move it to the different spot. And like magnets and stuff triggered shit that happened and moved in the room when we did that. Like it's actually automated. It's not like a human like watching a camera and like hitting a button like, oh, they figured out a thing. I'll open that door or whatever. It's like you futz with the thing and you make the thing happen and then a secret panel literally just opens.
Did they search you before you went in there?
No.
So I'm bringing my multi-tool, and here we go.
You know what? Good luck. That wouldn't work on a lot of these things.
But it's like you could jimmy open stuff that was supposed to be locked, and you basically bypass puzzles, right?
Yeah, but they were very good. So one thing that they did that was also clever is they gave you a few constraints. They were like, 1, you don't have to physically break anything. 2, anything above about like the extent of your hand up is not part of the puzzle. Don't climb onto the ceiling.
But what if I want to physically break something?
Don't.
But I want to.
Well, then that's like, all right, you're at PAX and you're just like, I want to smash this board game in tabletop.
I don't want to figure out how to unlock this desk. I want to take this heavy thing over here and break it open.
Well, what did I just say? Don't break shit. It's nothing needs breaking to solve.
You don't need to, but it helps it go faster.
No.
It's like, yes, you could beat this video game without killing anyone and just do it all stealth, but why? Just kill people.
But I guess what really got me was
virtual people.
We had a bunch of people who were pretty smart people, and we were like walking around doing our thing. And it was interesting watching the socialization of people like splitting into a couple of groups, and then like a few leaders sort of emerged, and like someone would come back, like Emily came over, she's like, "Hey, I found 3 of this kind of thing. So is there anyone else who needs like 3 things for a puzzle?" And we're doing this sort of like
Could you use your phones to take pictures of stuff? And
you could.
Did they let you bring your phone in there?
Yeah, they didn't care. But they were very clear. You did not need to ever use any external resource to figure it out.
Again, you could facilitate and greatly expedite your victory. And
not
escape.
really. Like The only thing you could have done with the phone is if you didn't know, like in one example, like say you didn't know Morse code, and you didn't find the thing to teach you Morse code in the puzzle, you could look up Morse code, I guess. But you probably found the thing that taught you Morse code before you found the Morse code.
I mean, obviously putting the Morse code hint in there, but it's like if I happen to have found the Morse code before finding the Morse code, thing, my first instinct would just be to Google it.
But that's cool because that works out because the puzzles were really parallel. There's a bunch of different directions to go.
So that's a design meant for the fact that you get a whole bunch of people in there at once as opposed to one at a time.
And there's a good amount of like clever things that are either red herrings or that someone who's smart but a little too clever is going to go down the wrong fucking road and look like a moron.
Oh, but like, is there any ending other than you escape, or is there multiple endings?
So the way it starts, for most of them, but they're not all like this, is they lock the door. And there's a mechanism to unlock the door. You have 60 minutes to get out or you lose. It's a game. And
but the only endings are win and lose.
Yeah. Now, I suspect because the one we did was apparently like they keep upping the production values and adding more and more like story elements and stuff.
Because no one will ever come back. And
like it's like the bouldering gym we go to. Like no one would go to a rock climbing gym. That
you got to make the roller coasters taller.
So like our gym.
Someone's gonna get one that's like a whole house.
Yeah. Well, like
Maniac Mansion.
So
for
there's
reals.
a point. We're in this pretty big fucking room, and we're like doing all this stuff, and like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And then someone like does a thing, and then a bookcase just goes like, and there's a whole other room back there.
There you go.
One of them looks like there's no lights. You just have some flashlights. Like it's all cool stuff. So if you ever wanted to do Professor Layton in person, physically with a few friends. These things are way better than I expected it to be. Like I went into this to be perfectly blunt. I wasn't like, oh, this is gonna suck. But while I was smiling on the inside, I was expecting a really sad experience.
If I set one of those up, if I ran one of those, what I would do,
knives on springs.
The way it would work is you would come with a group, and it would always be, well, we had to combine two groups,
and the other group is all stooges.
Obviously, the other group is all actors. And we pretty much just do shit like kidnap members of your group into a secret room. And you're like, where did Rim go?
Where I want to see them going with
God,
this?
where did Rim go? He's not in this locked room. And I'm looking all over it. I can see everything. And I do not see him and I do not hear him. Holy shit.
I feel like you could do really clever things. Like you could have versus ones where there's two groups and two sets of rooms, but they interact and only one group is going to get out.
Here's a better idea. Your two groups and two sets of rooms. One group, your goal is not to get out.
But to prevent the other group from getting out or to kill the other group.
Yes, to release the poison gas into the other group's room.
But these things are really cool. And like AR, VR tech is just not really there yet. AR also just means like augmented spaces. So this is it's
how much
like,
do they charge you for this nonsense?
Not that much money.
Really?
Like
for an hour?
Yeah, like this was way cheaper than a play.
How much was it?
I don't even know.
Oh, okay.
But like tens of dollars, not hundreds.
Per person or total?
I think it's per person.
Oh, okay.
Like 10 or 20 bucks, I think.
So it was a lot. $20 per person. How many people were in there?
Yeah, Scott, how much does it cost? We had, I think, 8 people.
20 times 8, 160?
It was 160. It was 190 a ticket just to see Macbeth. So
yeah, so that's like one hockey ticket.
Yeah. But seriously, this was like way better than I expected to a degree that was kind of surprising. And if you're around New York, I kind of recommend checking this out.
Right.
I'm linking
so the production value is high, but it's still nothing that I don't imagine it to be. So there's still no reason.
No, but it's the like good version of what you could imagine.
Sure.
It's not the janky version that I imagined. And the other thing is, they keep upping the ante. At least these people do.
So I should wait as I'm an old man and then do it, and it'll be like
I don't know. I think if we wait a couple years, these are gonna get to the point to where people start doing some clever shit. And I noticed that one of the new ones they've got is a horror mystery instead of just a mystery. I like horror. I want just like you open the bookcase and it's just full of blood, just buckets of blood just coming out.
Actually, blood gets on you like a Guar concert.
Like Luke Burge's idea for the subway. So you got a game or a news or a game news?
I do. Let me open it up here. So, I remember exactly what my game news is. So, remember when you went to El Japan?
Oh, yeah.
And they had El Gundam Pod. They had all kinds of miraculous arcade games.
Oh, my God. That Gundam
Pod
Pod was one of the most transcendent arcade experiences I've ever had.
Well, if you don't know, they now have Star Wars Pod.
I think I saw a link to that.
There is now Star Wars Pod. Also,
is it only at Disney? Like, where is it going to be?
Japan.
Yeah.
So not only, here's the news though, not only do they have Star Wars Pod, they have both pod version and non-pod arcade machines. So you can play it as like there's two versions of the arcade machine, one with the full pod and one that's smaller and less expensive. If you're, say, an arcade owner, you want to get more of them.
Why don't we just buy a set of them and buy like rent a warehouse that's going to be torn down?
Well, this is the news, is that now they are actually selling these pods direct to peoples.
Whoa.
For money.
How much money?
You still can't afford it. Click on the link and see how much money
Did
it
you
is.
send me? Oh, yeah, you did.
I did.
Because the that DDR machine's only like $5,000 for a used fourth mix.
Have a spare $100K? Why not pick up a limited edition Star Wars Battle Pod?
So how many do you need? Like, what's the maximum number you can play a game with together?
Don't know about it enough because Japan.
Because I think I could spend the $400,000 to get like 4 of these for a 2-on-2 or whatever and stick them.
How are you going to recoup your monies?
I would stick them in a space and charge admission in New York like
if you
a
put them in
temporary
Times
amusement
Square,
park.
how much money do you think you could make on them in a day?
This is what I have to calculate. You
You got to pay the rent and the electric bill too.
Yeah.
And you got to maintain the machines.
Yeah.
How long does the game last? How much can you charge someone to play it?
That's what I got to figure out. But here's the other thing. What you do, you buy the machines, then you lease them continuously to people in different places to run these pop-up events. They're shouldering the real risk, not you, because if this doesn't go well, you own these things. You have an asset you can sell to recoup a good chunk of your losses. So all the risk is on the person who actually has to do all the things you're talking about. That's how you do it.
All right, well, do it.
No. Because it'd be a bunch of work. I'd have to quit my job and like spend time on this. Oh my God, these things look really awesome.
There's a video you can see what this game is like and why it is bullshit that why are these amazing world-class games only in one country?
I wonder if Disney, with all their Star Wars
I'm sure
stuff,
if you go to Disney World,
they're probably going to set up
this.
like a room of these for people to use.
I'm
for
sure
money.
you can play this at Disney World.
Let's go to Disney.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, and once we confirm these are there.
Once I decide to quit my job next week, we'll just go to Disney World.
Things of the day. So I'm always a fan of when someone does like the subtle mashup, like there's a trailer or something, but they do like they add little subtle things to make it a trailer for something else. But the production values on this one are the subtlest, and it's actually really funny.
I saw links to this all over the internet, and I saw the title associated with the link, and that was everything I needed to know. So I didn't even bother watching. And now that I've seen part of it, I didn't need to watch because it was everything.
I don't know why you're so like weirdly like anti all Mad Max Fury Road and everything related to it.
This has nothing to do with it being Mad Max.
I think
it's
it
just
is.
That this particular thing of the day is just sort of like, all right, that's what I thought that was going to be. The end.
Really? Because usually these things are a lot less subtle. This has so many tiny little touches that I am impressed with the amount of effort someone spent into making this. This is just Mario Kart Fury Road. And the best part is that Waluigi stuff happening at the end.
Waluigi's always good.
Oh, like the tiny bombs stuck on the end of those grenade sticks. The little peach cap. This is pretty well done. Also, if you haven't seen Fury Road, it's the best action movie I've seen since The Matrix. I can't name an action movie better than Fury Road since The Matrix.
It's not like anyone's been making a lot of them.
John Wick, however, was actually like way better than I thought it was going to be. Of course, I'm way late to the party on that one. But yeah, go see Fury Road. It is Mad Max. The other movies, fuck them. And watch this thing because it's pretty good, pretty funny, pretty cute.
So, there are many remixes and performances of video game musics, and none more than Mega Man 2, and none more than the Dr. Wily's first stage, the one with the dragon in it theme.
Oh, I saw links to this,
From
and I
Mega
realized
Man
that
2.
I didn't need to actually click on it because there's just all these remixes of that song. Nothing new here.
Except this one is something new, and that they have ventured into a musical genre that is not oft associated with video game remixes. and it is an excellent musical genre that I appreciate very much, the mariachi. So it is, I mean, it's exactly what you would expect. It's a mariachi cover of Dr. Wily's song, but
you know that one.
That's a good thing that you want to listen to. So go listen to it because it is enjoyable to do so.
In the meta moment, we were temporarily delisted from iTunes. Our feed is now back online. So if you got a "this show is no longer available in your country" warning in the last week, that is resolved. You should probably go resubscribe to Geeknights if you unsubscribed. Also, if you're using the newest version of iTunes, it kind of fucked over podcasts in a big way, so go poke at it a bit and it'll start working again.
Right.
It does still have podcast support. You got to fuck with it. If you have iTunes and are not subscribed to us in iTunes, do us a favor and just go subscribe there just to give us a little bump now that we're back, because podcasts are dead.
Now who cares?
Yeah, and we're trying to make a big bust out in the near future.
Don't worry about helping us. What you should worry about more is helping yourself. And you should know that, I mean, you're listening to the show already, so you must care about Geeknights somewhat, right? So you can subscribe in iTunes, but they only let us, we used to have a bunch of feeds in there, now they only let us have one in there. And that,
so only the last 100.
That gives
a
you
tenth of Geeknights is on iTunes.
That gives you every Geeknights episode, you know, that's recent, you know, so you always get new ones in that feed. That's fine. Then we have a bunch of other feeds. If you go to our website, in the top right, there's like a subscribe page that has all kinds of infos on it. And we have feeds, for example, you can subscribe just Monday, just Tuesday, just Wednesday, just Thursday, just book club, just
weird episodes, which we haven't done one in a long time.
Just special episode. You could do random feed, which gives you random episodes. You could do, there's a feed that has every episode going back forever. You know, and not just the most recent 100, which is like it's some kind of iTunes limit, but like every episode ever back to episode 1.
Yeah, there's over 1,000, guys.
Yeah. There are all kinds of feeds, every which way, shape, and size, so you can subscribe to Geeknights in the way most convenient to you. All you have to do is copy the URL to the feed and go in iTunes or whatever podcatcher you use and go subscribe to podcast and paste the URL in and click OK. It's not hard. If you can listen to Geeknights, you can accomplish that. You don't need to have it be listed in iTunes in order for you to subscribe successfully. So that's that.
Yeah, and I do know, like, I was looking in the stats just because I was trying to figure out all the iTunes stuff. People listen, like, every now and then, like, I see, like, a bunch of people listen to episodes from, like, 2007, 2006.
I think those are from Google searches, like people, or like links from some other forum.
Yep.
Or, you know, someone finds a link to the one episode,
but it's
somehow it's related to something they were searching for.
It's interesting to see that almost every one of those old episodes gets like a couple of listens a week.
Yeah, it's like every single old episode of Geeknights gets like 1 or 2 downloads a month somehow. Some way. I don't know if people are listening, but there's 1 or 2 downloads a month. It could just be one every month someone accidentally downloads every episode.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah. The book is still Watership Down. Scott has not finished it yet.
Well, since I'm not working, I have plenty of time for reading.
Well, you said you'd finish it by Thursday. Or I was going to change my next book selection.
I guess I'm going to read it.
I mean, you don't have to.
Tomorrow.
It's fine. It's totally fine, because I think we could do a show tomorrow and on the current Eurovision.
I guess it's supposed to rain, actually, the rest of the
Oh,
week.
you're real afraid of Le Comte de Monte Cristo. Or perhaps the man in that the Mask of Iron.
So I guess
you're afraid they're going to show up on your doorstep.
Well, the second one, I've seen like
along
2
with
different movies.
Alexandre Dumas.
I've seen like 2 movie versions of Man in the Iron Mask, so I could probably bullshit that. But yeah, I can probably finish that by Thursday.
It would be Monte Cristo.
I can finish by Thursday.
It would definitely be Monte Cristo.
I've seen one anime version of that, which doesn't tell me shit.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting because a lot of the things the anime did were way better in a lot of ways than what the book does, but then the anime's end is just complete horseshit.
I'll finish the book by Thursday.
A good rap. I'm saying if you don't, I'll happily do a show on Eurovision. Because I got a lot to say about the current Eurovisions.
I didn't watch enough Eurovision.
I've watched all of them.
Whoa.
I think that my favorite one...
You watched the whole thing?
Well, I've watched almost all of them.
Was there anything that is...
There is no
like
Sieben, Ein.
That's still the best thing ever.
Yeah, there's no Hard Rock Hallelujah.
Well, that was a winner, actually.
But there is one that is Georgia. Georgia is
no
basically...
Epic Sax Man?
It's a Disney villain.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's just this Disney villain queen singing in front of like white fire and smoke. Serbia's pretty good too. Sadly, a lot of them are really earnest, like pop ballads. I don't.
Well, because that's what was winning, so people were copying what was winning. But I thought people don't want to win. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
No,
Zero.
A lot of people were giving the Russian performers a lot of shit, and there's some funny stuff that happened. But I'll save that in case we do a show or at least a news on Eurovision.
Okay.
I'll save it. But yeah, Georgia. That'll be my secondary thing of the day. Watch the Georgia performance. So, long time ago, long ages past, I used to play MegaTF, Team Fortress. Not Team Fortress Classic, because that was some like new wave bullshit. That was like what the dumb young kids
That was on
played.
the Half-Life engines.
Yeah.
And it came
Like-
free with your Half-Life.
Like, I remember, like, there was a time in gaming when if someone said, oh, I play Team Fortress Classic, they'd be like, what the fuck, you noob? And now that's like the old classic that everyone remembers. But anyway.
Well, because, people, it was hard to play, MegaTF. You had to have Quake.
Yup.
And not Quake 3. Quake 1 and 2 are not, for the faint of heart. And in order to set them up, you had to get like weird mods from weird places. Team Fortress Classic, it's like you had Half-Life.
Yep.
You had WAN and then eventually Steam, and that game was just there.
Yep.
It was just already there for you to double click and just play. And there were people playing it, and it just worked.
But anyway, so these were like old, fiddly, like poorly documented, hard as fuck to learn games with way high skill caps. Team-based, like individual skill mattered a lot. And as much as I love them, they're also kind of horrible. I'm not going to pretend they weren't. Team Fortress 2 took that genre, replicated the parts that people cared about, and got rid of everything else. Lowered the individual skill cap, heavily raised the team collective skill cap and the requirements of team coordination, and made a game that was probably 100,000 times more successful than all the previous iterations of Team Fortress combined.
Yep.
The same thing just happened kind of with MOBAs.
Well, not really, right? So Blizzard, that's Valve doing it once, right? They were basically using the Blizzard formula when they made TF2. Blizzard has always done this, right? It's like, oh, RTSs are a thing, huh? Like there was Dune and there was they're like, well, we'll just take that genre and stay true to what that genre is, but all the details we will polish the fuck out of and make perfect, right? There were MMOs all over the place. There were EverQuest, there were MUDs, and Blizzard's like, we're just going to make World of Warcraft. It's still going to be fundamentally the same bullshit, but all the little details, we're going to polish the fuck out of them and make them absolutely perfect so that we're better than all the others of this exact same thing.
So, like, it keeps the concepts, like, holding an area and building up your XP and, like, are you too far, pushing
Right.
back and whatever.
Yeah, Hearthstone, right? It's like, oh, look at all these, card games out there. Well, we'll just make one and polish the ever-living fuck out of it, and here you go. And that's exactly what they did. So they've done it to the MOBA, Heroes of the Storm. This has been an alpha for a long time, but now it's beta, so anyone can play it, open beta, and it launches early June. So basically the game launched now, really. But there's still going to be some patches and some bugs until early June when it's the real
Now, they
release.
made a big deal about how it's not a MOBA.
It's a MOBA.
They said it's not a MOBA.
What is it?
We don't call it a MOBA.
All right.
The genre that they call it.
It's
and
multiplayer. It's online. You battle in an arena.
This is
It's a
genre
multiplayer online
of,
battle arena.
And I quote, hero brawler.
It is a hero game, yes, and there is also brawling. You could also say that Dota and LoL and Heroes of New Earth are also
Oh, wow, this article's
hero
pretty good.
brawlers.
It has a sentence that sums up literally everything you care about knowing about this game if you've ever played a MOBA. Quote, Heroes of the Storm will feature shared experience, no last hitting, no item purchasing, and all skills unlocked at the start of a match, period.
Yes.
Anyone who's played a MOBA, that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. So basically, I was hoping, right, as, with the expectation is that, MOBAs, as much as we rag on them and, say things about them, there is a core of gameplay there that is great, that I enjoy.
Yeah, I'm on a
want.
team. We're working together.
You're on a team. You're working together.
Directly fighting other people in an environment that itself matters.
Right. You're combining player versus environment and player versus player. there's strategy, there's teamwork. The game has this sort of arc of like build up and come down, right? There's a flow to it. It's not something that's over in 2 seconds. There's drama of
there's
coming.
There's drama. There's potential for big drama. Like, oh shit, they stacked one of the lanes. Oh, they're busting through. Oh shit.
There's skill-based gameplay at the same time. There's a
High
lot of
skill caps.
Right. There's a lot of good things going on in MOBAs, but the details of MOBAs have always been bad. Oh, yeah, you want to choose, you pick a hero, but obviously that chooses like your core, but, much like a D&D character, you sort of, can go down different paths, and you can choose that either based on the beginning of the game, you can choose something, or as the game progresses, you can realize, oh, building my character in this way might be better. It's almost like if you were playing Magic the Gathering and could add cards to you started with 1 card in your deck, or 10 cards in your deck that you choose before the game starts, and as the game goes, you choose other cards to go in your deck, sort of like Dominion in a way, right? And then, you're building as you go to deal with the situation, and that was represented in other MOBAs by the item shop. And in the item shop, basically, you have to farm gold to get enough gold to go to the item shop, and then you have to realize, you have to learn what all these fucking items do and figure out which combinations of items are going to get you to go with your character, and it takes a long time to learn this bullshit.
And it's not like the multiplicative the number of items. It's not just a Pareto frontier. Like if you get 2 items that don't complement each other or the wrong order or whatever, you're fucked.
Yep,
completely fucked.
So in Heroes of the Storm, they get rid of the item shop, which is great because you don't have to like stop playing. It's for so many reasons. You don't have to learn all these stupid items, right? You just have to learn the talents, which are much more easier to remember, and there's much fewer choices to make, but they still amount to the same strategic decision. It's just been, abstracted away.
Well,
right?
see also Team Fortress. So in the old, like in Weapons Factory, the old game, as a Marine, like the area denial guy, I had 1 grenade that I could throw 2 of. They lasted, I think, 45 seconds, and they left like little turrets that would shoot railguns out of them. Then I had 2 other kinds of grenades that did different kinds of area denial, and I'd use them in combination depending on the terrain and the tactics and blah, whatever. In TF2, you have the demo man. He has one weapon, the area denial weapon.
Yep.
So the choice is area denial or not, as opposed to area denial, then what flavor, what circumstance, what time, what timing.
Yeah, for example, you'll choose a character, and you'll choose maybe a warrior character. So warrior characters are typically the tanks, right? Your role is to go into a battle first, because it's hard to kill you. You have a ton of hit points.
Yep.
You do a bunch of damage. It's like you're hard to kill, so the enemy has to focus on you, but you can also maybe disable or trap the enemies in a bad spot. Then the assassin characters will come in, they're the glass cannons basically, and do a bunch of damage and kill the enemies before you die, or maybe you do die, but they don't die, right? Pretty typical basic strategy going on here, right? If you're a tank character, like the first talent you choose might be something like a choice between like 4 different things. One of them might be like, this ability that you have is gets mana whenever you use it. And it's like, oh, well, if I choose that path, I'm going to be using that ability a lot and using my abilities in general a lot because I'm going to be replenishing mana a lot. If I choose the second one, which is like regen HP whenever you hit someone with a basic attack. And it's like, oh, if I go down that path, then I will be hitting guys with my basic attack a lot, and it'd be really hard to kill me. So my strategy would be go into battle and just use regular attack.
So think about what that does. Based on your choices, you're saying, of the like 4 or 5 things my character can do on a broad strategic scale, I'm going to be a little bit better at one of them.
Right. And then when you get to level 4 and you choose another talent, the first one's going to be like, hey, that ability that you could use that gets you like extra mana. Now, if you use that ability, it does extra damage. It's like, oh, well, obviously that goes with the ability I already, And the second choice will be like, oh, get a little shield whenever you kill a regular old bad guy. It's like, that makes me harder to kill. So it's like,
but at the same time, those abilities require a little bit more skill to use effectively.
Yeah, you got to kill you got to be like, in a battle, you have to have the mindset to like, kill a regular bad guy to get a shield to show up so it blocks you because it only happens for like a few seconds. When the real bad guy hero comes to actually hit you, that shield is there still. And now you fuck him up. So, you basically, instead of choosing like, oh, I need to get this item and this item and this item, you only have like every 4 levels or so, you make a choice. There's only 4 or 5 choices. They matter a lot. But it's easier to learn. It's easier to get into, but it has just as much depth. They're just getting rid of the bullshit part. And every other aspect of the game, from the last hittings, there's none of that, right? Every other part of the game, they've done the same thing. You don't want to destroy your own base. You destroy the other guy's base. When do you push? Which lane do you push in? You still need to farm XP, but not as much, right? The one big change to the game they added was these objectives. So you never know what kind of map you're going to play on. There's only so many maps, but you don't know which one it's going to be. And so, for example, each map has this objective you have to do at certain intervals. So you'll be just playing the game, and suddenly the game will be like, oh my God, objective time. So everyone basically stops just sitting in their lane doing whatever they were doing and has to go do the objective. You can not do the objective. You don't have to go do it. But then your team will be royally fucked if you don't do it, because succeeding at the objective, if your team succeeds at it exceptionally, does serious damage to the other team. For example, there's a map with a pirate. He goes, arr. And the way it works is you get coins. And it's weird thematically because he gives you the treasure, or he puts the treasure out there and wants you to give it back to him.
He's a really bad pirate.
But there's also some bad guys you can kill you can get treasure from, like just environmental bad guys that just stand there waiting for you to kill them to get treasure from them. So you collect treasure, and if you get killed while you're holding coins, your coins spill out and your enemy takes them, or your friends pick them up. And there's one spot where the pirate is standing. He's not always there, but he's sometimes there. And if you go over to him and you right-click on him, a little, timer thing will happen. And if you manage to stand there without getting killed until that timer finishes completely, you will give him all the coins you are holding. And if you give him, as a team, collectively, enough coins to meet his requirement, he will then disappear into his ship and fire cannonballs at the enemy base like, holy fuck, blow them up to smithereens. And then he'll stop doing that, and then the coin thing will happen again. But the more you give him coins, the more coins he wants from you. It's like the first time, it's like 10 from either team. But then the team that did it already, he wants 12 from that team to do it again, but the other team still only needs 10. So it sort of scales up. But if your team is doing better, you'll be able to go like 10, 12, 14, whatever, and the other team won't even be able to get the 10 if they suck, right? So these objectives sort of they sort of help guide the players into like knowing what to do. Because a lot of the problems in the Dotas and the LoLs is you go out there and it's like you go to a lane and you fight, and it's like, what should I do? Should I try to kill the enemies now? Am I strong enough? Should I try to push and go for their base now? It's like they're leveling up and we're leveling up. What, do I switch lane? What am I supposed to do here? This is like, it's telling you what to do. It's like, all right, everyone, right now, go into the cave and collect skulls. So no matter how noob you are, some people obviously can't figure this out. I've seen in a lot of games. People are like, what are the skulls? How to seeds? What? Like, they don't understand this. But even though the game is telling them in English, like, go into the cave and get the skulls, people don't get it. But
they don't know what a skull is.
Most people get it, and especially people who've played it, before get it. It took me like one game to understand. Like, I knew I had to get on one map gems and turn them in. I had gems. I couldn't figure out where to turn them in, and I kept asking, and my teammates wouldn't tell me. Eventually, I figured it out. Now I've figured out all the maps. There's not too many of them. But it's like once you figure it out, it's like when the event happens, you know what to do. You don't need some coordinate. You still need to coordinate, but everyone in your team, without ever having known each other in life, without being on some chat server or anything, will go towards the objective and start working on it and naturally come together. So it helps you out in doing that. And it also gives you a reward, in terms of if you succeed at it, awesome shit happens.
Yeah.
So that's the major difference between this and the other MOBAs is the objectives on the map.
Now, my worry that seems to be echoed by a lot of people, but I don't know, because like the game hasn't, like it has to be out for real, and we have to see what the equilibrium is. Mm-hmm. My worry is that, like I always suspected, if you polish games, like Team Fortress 2 wasn't really fun in the long run, at least for me. And for a lot of people, like the competitive scene is not strong in that game.
Nope.
Because skilled teams are basically equal in skill to each other due to the way the caps are. Like individual skill doesn't have that much input in the game above a certain point. Mm-hmm. So the competitive scene like has no way to differentiate one pro from another, mm-hmm. or one pro team from another. Mm-hmm. And also, if you remove all the fiddly shit, the game's a little boring because there isn't that much to actually do. Fundamentally, it's still a MOBA. Well, a hero brawler, in that you are waiting to level up.
Yep.
Go stand somewhere, and the decision might be, do I stand here or do I stand here?
You keep moving around a lot so you can't get hit by anything. That's what you do.
But you're just leveling up. It's a leveling game. What I hate about MOBAs as a genre is that at their core, they are passive strategy games.
Yeah, and this is true 100%. Heroes of the Storm.
And don't think we're picking on MOBAs. Fighting games have a very similar, but it's a different problem, but it's the same core problem.
Despite polishing away all the small imperfections and frustrations, as Blizzard has done, and all their other genres of game, it is still fundamentally a MOBA. It still has all the same problems that all MOBAs have. If one person on your team doesn't get it and they're just staying in the top lane and not joining your team while you go around killing the other team, every time you meet the other team, it's going to be 5-on-4. And you're going to get hosed. And then they're going to go kill that guy who's only one, and then they're going to kill your base. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? So you're stuck on a team with a bad player, you just want to quit, they don't let you concede. You have to sit there and wait for the game to finish. So people just stand in their base not doing anything. Another thing they've done is because the skill cap is so low and because the objective is so strong, you do actually have a very good chance of coming back in games that feel like you've lost. Right? So the other team gets the objective. Your base is blown to shit. You all die. You all respawn. You actually, at that moment, have an incredibly good chance of winning because they're beat up from basically pushing, where your team is totally fresh. You just all spawned.
And then, hey, another objective.
If you all team up, you can go and kill them, their entire team. They will be not respawning for a while. If the objective happens, you can go get the objective unopposed while they're waiting to respawn and then start pushing. I've lost a lot of games when teams have done that and won a lot of games when my team has done that.
Now, so the timing on that, it might come down to how strict timed are the objectives going to be in the final game?
I mean, there's a clock.
Yeah.
You sort of... I still don't know when they're going to happen, but the interval is pretty regular.
Because when I used to play really heavy Quake 2, Lithium Deathmatch, among the skilled players, one of the big factors...
If you know this game, you know exactly when everything's going to happen.
Exactly, but people would memorize, you'd see, literally, the second before the quad damage reappears,
someone comes...
6 people appear in that room.
That's exactly right. So, that is... the problem here is that, yes, you can come back, which is great, right? You're not out of the game. You shouldn't be conceding and standing still waiting for the game to end because you can come back. It's almost until the very end. You do have a chance.
Yes, the positional heuristic is kind of obscure.
The game does a very bad job of letting you believe that you can come back. So people do just give up too early.
Meanwhile, look at old natural selection.
It's we could have come back. Right? We did have a chance, and I know we have a chance because I know the game. I've been playing it for a couple days. But these other people don't believe that we have a chance. They're just random internet people. So they just stay in base, and now we don't because we only had a chance if everyone believed it and went for it.
Now, meanwhile, look at the psychology of the old natural selection. I don't know if it happens as much in the new natural selection, but people believed they could come back even when they mathematically could not. Yep. People, the game, for whatever reason, the way it felt when you played, people would believe to their dying breath that they could come back if they just hold out.
That is one major design flaw in the game. It does a bad job of getting you to believe you can come back. But I think that is not a problem if you're playing with, better players or organized
You need
players.
an alien commander to be yeah, we can do it. Come on, guys. Come on, bombers.
Or you have a team and you're not just playing with random internet people.
Yeah.
Right? So...
well, in general, games like this have a horrible random internet person experience, I think.
Yeah, well, I've been reporting everyone who's horrible. And the fact is, while there have been horribles...
It's not Heroes of New Earth.
The percentage is actually one horrible for every 5 games.
Yeah, as opposed to Heroes of New Earth, which was one horrible for every 0.5 games.
And about the one horrible in every 5 games usually gets reported, but one game, everyone's just report that guy. And I'm I reported him a minute ago.
Yep.
The only problem is that while you're reporting someone, you're standing still not playing the game. And then you lose because you had to report someone. But if you had someone on your team you needed to report, you're losing anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
So I guess... What no one's done with MOBAs is instead of trying to refine and narrow and keep the core...
Right. Fundamentally change the genre, but keep just the team battling aspect, right? Counter-Strike has team battling, but it's completely different from MOBAs.
All I think they need to do,
anyone.
The best way to make MOBAs like a new transcendent genre is to make the lanes a dynamic thing that you build and maintain.
That could be interesting.
And or the goon generators controllable and configurable like a baby's first RTS alongside the regular game.
Well, one other interesting thing that's in Heroes of the Storm, different from the other MOBAs, right, is that in, say, Dota, there's the jungle, which is where you go to fight AI creatures to level up, basically. In Heroes of the Storm, you can do this, but what happens when you fight them is you actually recruit them onto your team, and they will go into the nearest lane and start fighting after you beat. So they're like
I didn't play enough to bump into that.
There'll be like 2 giant ogres just sitting there, like. Arr. If you go over and fight them, like they're tough, but you go there with your whole team and you beat them real quick, and then they will, at full health, like reappear and go down a lane and fuck up the other team real bad.
But I say take that to one more degree. Like imagine a MOBA where you all start, same MOBA, it's just Here's the Storm. Imagine Here's the Storm straight up, but there aren't lanes, but there's shit out in the middle of the map in a few places.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get resources in the beginning of the game, you start digging in the mine.
Right. Well, I have a better idea, even more than that, right? Is that MOBAs is this leveling aspect, which no matter how you refine it, and even in Heroes of the Storm, where a couple levels you can still come back if you're a couple levels behind, and your whole team is always the same level, all the experience is 100% shared. You don't have like one person who's way high level and the other people, right? Everyone is always the same level on your team. Even with that, if your team is a couple levels behind, you can still come back. But why is there even leveling to begin with? Instead, I think it should be the opposite. Everyone should start out at the beginning of the game as ridiculously powerful heroes with all kinds of shit, right? All the magic spells and mana and items and the glory be. We are the mightiest heroes who have ever existed. And you go into a battle. And what happens in a battle? You get fucking worn ass out, right? You're getting
so you start high, but then you have to rebuild, maintain, preserve.
You can't even rebuild. You're in a battle, right? You don't
No, look, what I imagine is you start as Rome at its peak, and slowly you're using like busted old Roman shit.
You cast your spell. And it's like, well, now I'm fucking, my magic's getting weaker because I'm using it up. I'm getting drained here, and just like go out there, and everyone on both teams just who can grind the other team down into dust first. And it gets more dramatic as it goes down.
So what I think is between, Heroes of New Earth, it's a terrible game and it's basically dead. But there's Dota 2 and
LOL.
There's LOL.
The big one.
And now there's Heroes of the Storm. These three have refined like the 3 ways to go with MOBAs as they are known. They're it. I think there is no more refinement that really is going to be had. The next step is someone doing one of the kinds of things like we're talking about.
You got games like Awesome Knots, which is like a 2D platform MOBA, right?
Yeah, but every one of those games just doesn't have the traction or the, I don't know, I don't like them.
Nope.
And it's not even like I look at them and say, wow, that's not for me, but I know who it's for. I look at it and say, wow, people are going to get bored with that.
It's just
after
like
a
you
couple
play
hours.
these games and there's like this aspect of goodness. Like, oh, I want this part. And then there's just so many other parts that are like, no. And they've managed to remove all the fiddly ones, but they couldn't fix the core. Same thing with World of Warcraft, right? It's like, you'd play like some mud back in the day and be like, wow, I need so much experience for the next level. This is like not worth my time. Fuck this.
Yep, I needed 1,000 experience points to get to level 77 in the realm.
World of Warcraft is like, we have made the perfect XP curve and we have made everything is perfect. And it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. But, I'm still just grinding and leveling up. The fundamental thing hasn't changed. You've just perfected that fundamental thing.
So if you want to be on the bleeding edge of like the next generation of MOBAs, take the existing refinements from the 3 games that sort of came out on top, turn 90 degrees on one of those aspects, and go crazy.
Right,
but keep everything else the same.
I guess we should pay like at least a minute to talk about the money aspect of this game. So it's sort of the same thing as League of Legends, where there's free heroes that you can, every week they change. So they just change like today, right? So you always have like a few heroes you can play no matter what, and every week it changes. So if you find a hero you like, you sort of have to buy them. You can buy them with gold or real money. Different heroes have different prices. What makes a hero more or less expensive than another one? I don't know. They just decide it somehow. Some heroes are easier or weaker to use. Some are from StarCraft, some are from Warcraft, whatever. To get gold, when you first start playing, you can get a lot of gold, right? Because you are leveling up, right? Your account levels up, but you also have you level up each player, each hero outside of any individual game. You level up the heroes.
Yep.
When you get any particular hero to level 5, you get like a gold bonus. So every given week, there's like some number of heroes you can play for free. You got to play enough games to level each hero up to level 5, and you get all the gold bonuses for them. Eventually, you have the gold bonus for every hero, and you can get tons of gold that way. You also get gold bonuses when you level up yourself, which you just get by just playing. You also have daily quests, just like Hearthstone, where you can get gold from those. It's like there'll be a quest, like play 8 games.
Now, I see what they're kind of doing there. Like, it sort of forces people, like, oh, play a bunch of different heroes. Right. Don't always only play Princess Peach and Smash Brothers, Rim. Play a different character.
Now, that's good and all, right? You can get gold this way. But even if you do all the quests and level up all the heroes and do all this stuff, eventually, your account gets to level 30, which unlocks like the super mode where you actually play like with drafting characters and, you know, you're playing with more serious players. The amount of gold that you will earn, even if you do everything you can do by the time you get there, you will not have enough heroes unlocked to play that mode well. People, if you join that mode and we're playing free, and you just got to level 30 and you join that mode, people will be hella pissed at you because they want to draft a certain character to counter the other team, and you don't have that character. And so you can't pick that one. You have to pick one of the characters that you have paid for. And it's just like, you don't have all the magic cards, so we're fucked.
Yep.
You're fucking our team by coming in here and not having enough. So you had to pay money, and they're charging stupid money. You'll be like, oh, you want to play as this character? $10 It's like, fuck you. You play Street Fighter. You'd be like, oh, yeah, you could have M. Bison for free. Oh, Guile, $10. Fuck you, Cap. You can't. That's bullshit, right? It's like, oh, and how many hours would you have to play to unlock Guile? Like, you'd have to play like 10 games a day for a month to unlock. It's like, that is horseshit.
Now, at the same time,
right?
That model
that is horseshit.
Seems to increasingly be dominating multiplayer spaces.
Dota does not have this model, right? This is the one thing Dota is doing right. Dota is like, you get you have everything. Everything is free. We're only going to charge you for cosmetic shit. And that is why, as a competitive, serious game, you know, while Dota has bullshit in its game mechanics while you're playing, it doesn't have any bullshit outside of that. The only thing that costs money is cosmetic nonsense, skins and mounts and whatever. And they have cosmetic skins and mounts for money in Heroes of the Storm too. But if you're a smart person, you just ignore that bullshit and ride the normal horse that's free. Why do you need to ride the pig or the rainbow unicorn for $10?
Rainbow unicorn, come on.
Are you going to pay $10 for the rainbow unicorn?
Scott, what if for $10 it was Rainbow Dash?
It's always funny, though, when someone does pay $10 for the rainbow unicorn and they suck, and it's just like...
No, I've seen
like when
that.
you suck so bad that I, who suck, can tell that you suck.
Scott, I was playing...
And you paid $20
the
for
other
some
night,
skins.
I was playing Counter-Strike, right? And I'm not that good. Like, I'm an old man. Like, I'm pretty good at Counter-Strike, but I'm not pro.
But there's someone who's so bad you headshot them every time.
So I was playing
with
casual, just like demolition mode, and I'm on this really good team. Like, super A-game people in terms of like being funny, and we were all like similar skill level, and like it was a good game. But then like someone had to leave, and someone joined our team.
They were so bad,
and they sucked. Like they was really bad, and they kept like every round, when like between the rounds, I'd play my harmonica, and everyone got really into it. And we had this like thing going on, and then the guy's like, "What the fuck with the harmonica?" And then everyone else was like, "Dude, the harmonica's the only reason we're winning. Like, calm the fuck down." And it kept escalating, and then finally, like, the guy's really sucking, and it came down to we were tied, and this guy was the last one alive.
You're done.
All he had to do was not get shot because they didn't have time to plant the bomb. It was too late.
Oh, he just had to run away.
And he runs up on the roof and starts shooting at the guy with his pistol.
Of course.
And gets headshotted.
He doesn't know that all he has to do is run away.
So then, in our voice chat...
And you can't hear him. He can't hear you telling him that because Ghost.
So in our voice chat, one of my fine friends from this amazing group of people just notices and says, "Whoa, that skin he's using costs like $100. And then someone else is like, ha! And
maybe he got it randomly and just happened to like it and use it, not realizing it was worth $100. But probably he paid $100.
So, it was a good moment, and then we all voted to kick him. So
yeah. So if you want to play a MOBA, and for a short while before you get sick of it and realize you're going to have to pay money to buy a hero for like $10 and then you're going to say, fuck this shit. Up until that point, you can play. This is free. Why not?
If you want to make the next generation of MOBAs, play this.
Hire me as a
Dota 2.
consultant so I don't have to stay at the job I have now.
Consultants. All you have to do is tell other people what to do, but you don't have to actually do it. That's kind of our, that's like our main thing. That's what we do.
That's my specialty.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, good.
Okay, good. Is that Moran? The Moran doesn't look like it's on.
It's not. It's fine.
It's fine. I'm
It's
not doing this twice.